Clash of Champions 2020 opens up with a 27-minute ladder match for the ages and finishes with some of the most brilliant storytelling I have ever seen in professional wrestling. Roman Reigns says, "Forget about the yard, dude. I'm taking the island." A ladder match that saw the returns of Ric Flair, Christian, and Shawn Michaels. You reap what you sow, Randy Orton. With all of this, could this be a flawless pay-per-view? Not so fast, because it was still Clash of Rematches. Apollo and Lashley for the 122nd time. Street Profits versus Garza and Andrade for the 117th time. What the hell happened in that Bayley match? But not so fast. We know what it was leading to. The return of Sasha Banks. Oh, we're going to talk about all this. Was this pay-per-view good? Was it bad? Did it meet the qualifications for ugly? We are about to get amplified on the Clash of Champions 2020 right now. Alright, Amplified Unit, let's rock this out. Red Team, go! Now, before we start this review off, allow me to address the rules for newer subscribers. You see, this is unlike any review show you've ever seen before in the community. But don't worry, newer subscribers. The rules are simple. Number 1. Every single match on the main show will get a tally in either the good, the bad, or the ugly column. No exceptions. Every match needs at least one tally in one of those columns. Rule number 2, you want to stay away from the ugly column, because if there is any tally in the ugly at the end of this review, that gets crossed off and it becomes 2 bads in the bad column. And that can drastically change the outcome of this review in deciding if this was a good or bad pay-per-view. Stay away from that ugly column. Each ugly turns into 2 bads in the end. And rule number 3, only if there is a tiebreaker at the end of the tallies of the main show, only then will we go to the kickoff show, and that match will decide if this was a good or bad pay-per-view. Only if there's a tiebreaker do we go to the kickoff show. Those are the rules. So what do you say we get this party started, man? Amplified style. And welcome, newer subscribers. And to my veteran subscribers, you know what's about to go down, baby. Ain't nobody review professional wrestling like the Amplified Man. But you're about to find that out yet again right now. Before I start this off, congrats to my Green Bay Packers, who defeated the New Orleans Saints last night, by the way. And that was one of my reservations, man. I'm about to watch, on paper, what looked like a tragic pay-per-view. It was literally the Clash of Rematches. And I'm gonna forfeit my Packers and Saints. Of course, I still watched the game, but it was afterwards. For Clash of Rematches. Man, I couldn't help but think, the whole day leading up to these events, am I just making a drastically wrong decision? Was Clash of Rematches drastically horrible? We're about to find out, but again, thank you for my Green Bay Packers for showing up last night and taking care of business. Green Bay is 3-0, my friends, undefeated, and Aaron Rodgers, he's a bad man! Another side note, guys, a little more serious. Nikki Cross, Shayna Baszler, and Nia Jax were unable to compete last night. You have to jump to conclusions and think, unfortunately, of what it might be. And you have to maybe even throw Alexa Bliss in there because she's part of that little pack. And I hope that's not the case. And we don't know how many other people, too. But if it is what we think it is, or no matter what it is, we wish them nothing but the best. But Nikki Cross was not able to take on Bayley last night. That didn't stop WWE from doing something absolutely stupid. We'll get to that. And Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, they just didn't have a tag title match last night. So the Riot Squad, or 2/3 of the Riot Squad, Liv and Ruby did not have a title match last night either. So the card was drastically changed by these changes. If it is some serious health things, then we absolutely wish them nothing but the best. And we're not going to drag it out until we hear more information. If this is just WWE booked some lousy shit and then they decided last second they didn't want it on the card, oh, they're going to hear about it. But for now, if it is health related, we want to wish them nothing but the best. But the card was drastically changed because of such. So let's start our show by discussing how they started their show. Intercontinental title ladder match. Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, and Sami Zayn. You want to talk physical? These three dudes were welted up in the first 3 minutes of this thing. These three took chances and got fucked up throughout the entire match. You believed the animosity that they were trying to portray, that each man don't like the other, that each man feels like they should be champion. Hardy hits a swanton from basically the top of the Thunderdome through Sami and through a table. Slight exaggeration, maybe not from the top of the Thunderdome, but damn near close. This ladder was the size of 12 giant Gonzaleses. And Hardy, even at his age, is like, fuck it. If I can't have a beer, I'm jumping off this bitch. Sami handcuffs Hardy through his earlobe. That's right, through his earlobe to another ladder. And then he handcuffs AJ Styles to himself. So Styles can't ascend the ladder. And we all thought, it makes no sense. Until Sami and AJ started ascending the ladder together. Sami Zayn had the key, obviously. Makes sense. So he unlocks his handcuff, and then he cuffs it to the ladder. So at this point, you have Jeff Hardy handcuffed to a ladder through his earlobe, and you had AJ Styles cuffed to the ladder that Sami Zayn was ascending to get to the championships. So Styles basically had to watch him collect those titles, and that's what happened, my friends. Sami Zayn becomes the new... I can't do Howard Finkel justice. And no! That was much better. Rest in peace, Fink, man. I love the Fink, man. I miss him. But Sami Zayn becomes your new Intercontinental Champion. If you ask Zayn, he always was the IC Champion. This was, again, 27 minutes, man. I love when a match can go over 25 minutes, man. That's what always made NXT TakeOver special. You only had about 5 matches. And the majority of them went 20, 25, even 30 minutes. And it was storytelling that we actually gave a shit about. We needed to see the culminating moments. You know, now NXT is a shell of what it once was. But last night, man, you don't often see it in WWE unless it's called an Iron Man match or some shit. You don't usually see a match near a half of an hour long. But they let them do their thing, man. And this was main event caliber shit. It just was. If you put this in the main event, I'm pretty sure we'd be happy with it. This obviously goes into the good column. So here we are at the clash of rematches, and the very first match, it's good. Sets a good tone. Now I'm thinking, man, can they just get some consistency? Can match number 2 follow suit, and maybe we're onto something? Let's talk about it, man. The second match on the main show was for the Raw Women's title. This was Asuka versus Zelina Vega. This was only 7 minutes in length. Couldn't have been more proud of Zelina Vega in this match, guys. This was obviously her biggest match ever on the WWE main roster. This was her biggest match. There's no question about it. And it's against Asuka for a championship at a pay-per-view. And you tell me that's not her biggest match. That's a lot of pressure on Zelina or anybody. Not a lot of people gave 411 of heaven. Yes, that's what I call Zelina Vega. 411 of heaven. Not a lot of people gave Zelina a real shot, but she believably hung with Asuka. She was working on body parts. She was going catch as catch can. She was matching her. She was rolling around with her. Getting methodical, man, even though it was only 7 minutes, and I'm not happy about that. Man, how can you not? I mean, Asuka was Asuka, but Zelina went in there like the Spitfire from Queens that she is. The finish saw Vega tap out via the Asuka lock. Absolutely what should be happening. There's no way, and I love Zelina, there's no way Zelina should be walking out of there with the championship. She taps the fuck out in 7 minutes to Asuka, but looks damn good in the process. Post-match, Asuka gives Zelina credit for hanging with her, and Zelina kicks her right in the gut and walks off true heel fashion. I literally have nothing bad to say about this, guys. Yes, the 7 minutes in length, it perturbs me, I guess is the word, right? That they just give him 7 minutes. But it is Zelina's biggest match on her main roster career. In her main roster career, you don't want to really put too much pressure on her and tell her she's going out there for 13 minutes. So I kind of understand that. There's just not enough bad here to put that anywhere but the good column, guys. Match number 2, Asuka and Zelina. Nothing special, nothing great, but enough to be good because there wasn't enough bad. I didn't see it. So first 2 matches into this motherfucker, and I have 2 goods in the column, and I'm like, there's no way we can continue this train 3 matches deep, right? They're gonna throw some WWE-esque BS at us, correct? Of course I was right. Match number 3. So, again, first 2 matches, guys. 2 in the good column. We have 0 in the bad, 0 in the ugly. That is about to change. Third match of the night on the main show. United States Champion Bobby Lashley defending that title against Apollo. It absolutely sucks that I have to do this, because Apollo was impressive in this match, and Lashley collecting the W with the full Lashley is not only the right call to build his title reign, but also to build the Hurt Business. So even the finish was the right finish. But sometimes there is such booking blunders that it supersedes the match and performances themselves. This is one of those times, guys, where a booking blunder already has a tally in one of the categories. So no matter what the superstars go out there and do, the booking of the match has already put that tally where it needs to be. And I hate doing that, because I like to rest the majority of a review on the performances, on the wrestlers themselves and what they are doing. But we have to at times send a clear-cut message to WWE that this type of booking is unacceptable. We have seen Lashley and Apollo 127 times in the past 3 months. And now you want us to pay for it. This is one of just 7 matches on your card. And it's a match we have seen 127 times before. In just the last several months. And you're supposed to, this is going to get fans excited for your pay-per-view. This is supposed to collect intrigue. A rematch that we have not just seen a couple times, but if you include 6-man tags, tag team schmazes, and one-on-one, way too many fucking times. And that's what you book for your pay-per-view, because you know damn well you didn't know where you were going with Lashley and Apollo. You backed yourself into a corner. You gave that match away so many times, and a pay-per-view creeps up. You have a championship at a pay-per-view called Clash of Champions, and you're like, we have to defend it, but we have nobody else in line for Lashley, so let's throw Apollo back out there. That's not exciting to your fans. It doesn't build intrigue, and we don't give a fuck about it. At what point do we have to hold the company accountable? Do we have to hold the old man in Stamford accountable? This is no shade to Apollo. I feel this was an impressive performance. Lashley, I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of the Hurt Business. No shade to him. The finish, the full Nelson, that's what exactly should have been, the full Lashley. Helps build his title reign and the Hurt Business in the process. But the booking of this match is unacceptable. And because of that, and I'm being generous by not putting this in the ugly, because of the bad booking, the booking blunder, the booking botch, Blotch and botch. I need another fucking coffee because of all of it. This goes into the bad column. Unapologetically. I know. BC, man, that's mean, dude. That's mean. I understand. You know, I'm not here. I didn't create a channel. And thousands of you guys don't watch me because I'm a nice guy. Right? You watch these videos and these reviews and these podcasts because you know I'm going to give you the most honest review possible, and I am going to put these tallies where they need to be, where they should be. When I review a match or a wrestler, a performance, an event, a show, when I review anything, it's many factors that I'm reviewing, not just one or two things, guys. Mannerisms, expressions, selling, psychology, overall performance, the booking. All of it gets reviewed. And sometimes one of those aspects far supersedes everything else. This is one of those scenarios where the booking alone, right from the jump before they even step foot in the ring, this tally was already going there. The only way it could gone anywhere else is if it was going into the ugly column. But these two did not do anything ugly in that ring. It was actually this was actually, to be honest, their best match that they've had together last night. So that's why this sucks even more that I have to do this. But I have to send the message to that company. I know, man, this isn't ego. We know. There's some of us in this community that know for a fact. I've talked to one individual in this community about this over some beers. We know they're watching us. There's more than... I mean, we've had wrestlers themselves come out and tell us they watch us. But there's also all these little hidden gems that you'll find, them saying or doing. They're watching us. You know, we have to send them a clear-cut message sometimes. So, and don't worry for anyone that thinks, oh, it should have went into the good man. This wasn't a great match anyway by any stretch. And it was only 8 minutes long. So yeah, it was their best performance together. Performance-wise, you could even call it good. But don't think it's anything exceptional. It was 8 minutes long. It wasn't great. So, I have it's unapologetically going into the bad guys. I'm not going to discuss this anymore. I know that probably befuddles some people, but my mind was made up before they stepped foot into the ring. The only way this changed is if it was going into the ugly. Luckily, they did good enough to keep this in the bad. Again, I'm being generous. Fourth match of the night on the main show, the Raw Tag Title match. Street Profits versus Garza and Andrade. I'm not going to beat around the bush. This goes directly into the ugly column. For two reasons. Just like Apollo and Lashley, you can thank the booking for half of this grade, because just like Lashley and Apollo, we've seen this match 117 times, and now you expect your audience to pay for it. $10 a month for the network, $60 if you don't have the network. We're supposed to pay for 7 matches. Matches like Apollo and Lashley and Street Profits versus Garza and Andrade. 117 times we've seen this match, so let's give it to them again, because in Vince's mind, let's feed them any bullshit we can produce. They'll eat it up and say, please, sir, can I have some more? No. The tides are changing, Vince. We're no longer letting you skate by with this BS. We're no longer throwing you mulligans. So that's the first reason this goes directly into the ugly. The booking. Just like Lashley and Apollo, we've seen it too many times. We should not be seeing this at a pay-per-view at the end of September. And if that wasn't bad enough, the other reason this is going into the ugly, we get a botched finish. That's right. Doughboy tries pinning Andrade. I believe it was Andrade. Maybe it was Garza. I don't know. He tries pinning I think it was Andrade. Correct, guys? This fucking jersey's fucking... I never wear the undershirt underneath a jersey. I'm always against that. For any fashion police out there, any brizangos. Trust me, I'm with you. I never wear the undershirt under the jersey. But I knew I'd be sweating during the review, so after the review, I can just take the undershirt off, throw that out, and I can wear the jersey, finish up a couple of chores I have, come back home, shower, and then finish off the day that I need to do. That was the plan. Now I'm just seeing how it's fucking pissing me off. So, sorry guys, that's bugging me. I can see the fucking, I got a mini screen of me in the corner. It's bugging the shit out of me, man. You talk about a botch. No longer will I ever wear a fucking undershirt underneath a jersey. Rogers doesn't deserve that shit. Anyway, where was I, guys? Yeah, a botched finish. Doughboy tries pinning, we'll say Andrade. It could have been Garza, excuse me if I muffed it. A BC botch within a botch here. But we'll say Andrade. Dre's shoulder was clearly up fully at 2. Fully at 2. And the ref decides the count anyways. So, if it was a botch, that's pathetic. If it was the planned finish, that's pathetic too. Even commentary was clueless as to what was happening. Tom Phillips actually calls the kick out, and then we all hear the bell ring. And we're like, what do you mean, Tom Phillips? The bell rang! And then we just hear silence, guys. Fucking silence. As Vince McMahon is probably in the ear of Tom Phillips. Tom Phillips probably has the mute button on, so he's talking to Vince. What the fuck do I say? What do I do? Samoa Joe isn't saying fucking nothing. Byron Saxton wants to run away as far away possible from the Thunderdome. Everybody botched here. This is what leads me to believe this was just a botch. If this was the planned finish, this is absolutely fucking... It's a botch. The plan would be a botch, and if it wasn't planned, it's a botch. So you add that into the botched booking, that's a fucking ugly! That's a fucking ugly! You ain't gonna convince me otherwise! Oh, man, I tell you. Commentary clueless, just like Mickie James and Asuka from just a few Monday Night Raws ago. Remember that botch? And Michael Cole and everyone's like, I don't know what's going on. This is weird. He's got the mute button talking to Vince. Vince is screaming in his ear. Vince is screaming in the referee's ear. These WWE blunders are happening way too many times in the middle of the ring. Planned or not planned. Pathetic and ugly. And that's where it goes. So after 4 matches, guys, we have 2 in the good, 1 in the bad, and 1 in the ugly. Now, don't forget, that ugly is going to be crossed off into 2 bads at the end of this. So technically, we have 3 bads and 2 good. Match number 5 on this main show is going to have to kick it into high gear because right now, the good column is down 1 thanks to that ugly. 5th match on the main show was Bayley versus Asuka for the SmackDown Women's title. That's right, if you didn't see this show and you're thinking, wait, BC, Asuka's the Raw Women's Champion. Asuka already had a match. And Nikki Cross is the opponent for... How is Asuka versus Bayley? SummerSlam rematch, BC? It's exactly what I'm telling you. As I aforementioned, Nikki Cross can't compete. We're not going to rag on that until we find out more information. But they paraded out Asuka because they had Bayley stand in the middle of the ring and they have her stupidly announce an open challenge for her title. What? Nobody in their right mind would do that. And that's what I hate when the company makes their performers look like idiots in the middle of the ring. I hate that shit. It's like when they give them a horrible promo to read and not even Stone Cold can turn some of the shit that they produce today into gold. Some of the writing today, not even Stone Cold can turn to gold. So the wrestlers just go out there and they look like idiots. So they have Bayley go out there and call for an open challenge of some sort. Then they have Raw Women's title holder Asuka come to the ring. Another rematch at Clash of Rematches. This match was literally only 3 minutes as Bay gets DQ'd after bashing Asuka with a steel chair. Now the reason that I'm not going to bash this, like Bayley did with a steel chair to Asuka, I'm not going to bash this too much, is because I know what this was leading to. This still has to go into the bad category, guys. It has to. Because even though you're trying to get to what happens post-match, and I understand that, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, you have to get there in a good way. You have to get there in an interesting way, a way that makes sense, a way that is fun and entertaining. You have to get creative to get us to what you have planned post-match. This was the most nonsensical BS they could have produced. Oh, Nikki can't compete? Or we're pulling Nikki? Let's just have Asuka go out there, and in 3 minutes, we'll have a steel chair to Asuka's back, and then we'll get to where we need to be post-match. No, that doesn't fly with me. That is the exact definition of the good, the bad, and the ugly. That is why we review things the way we review them. Because things either happen the right way or the wrong way. This was bad. It's not even Bayley's fault. It's not Asuka's fault. Again, you could blame booking for this. I don't care who you blame. It's going into the bad column. So after you cross that ugly out, technically right now, it's 4-2. But not so fast. We're about to equal this out that bad. Because something is about to go into the good column. Because I do like what they had planned post-match. And again, it's the reason I'm not bashing this completely. Whether it was Nikki Cross or Asuka or Molly frickin' Holly, what they had planned post-match was the focal point, and that is the return of Sasha Banks. And Sasha was looking like a revamped, even sexier version of Chili from TLC. You guys know the trio TLC? Oh my God, I used to love them, man. They were just some beautiful women, man. Left Eye, Chili, oh, fuck, man. Chili was my girl, man. You got Sasha going out there with the high tops, the rolled up warm-ups past her calf. She had that cut top, whatever you fucking call that. She had the part of the pants that looked like a thong. It was just, Sasha was, whoa, man. Even with a neck brace, she's just top 10 status. In the number 1 spot. But she comes back, and I like the way they did this, man. Yes, I keep Sasha out to the Rumble. I have her a surprise entrance. She wins the Rumble. I have Bayley keeping the title all the way through WrestleMania. And Sasha gets a culminating epic moment at Mania. Because this type of feud deserves that. Absolutely, I would book this different. It's clear that they want to rush this to Hell in a Cell. So I don't mind this at all, man. And you say, oh, BC, it's way too soon. I agree. I just said I agree. I would keep her till the Royal Rumble. So I agree with you. But it's their company. They believe Hell in a Cell is perfect for them too. It kind of is. And this is believable because it looks like Sasha, even though she's not cleared, she wanted to get her hands on Bayley so badly that she risked her own health. And there was a time where the tables turned and Bayley was Wabaka and Sasha. And Sasha's probably thinking, damn, what do I do, man? I just got myself in a jam. It was believable. The second Sasha went down, her neck started hurting and Bayley had the upper hand. Sasha was just able to kick Bayley's knees a couple times, take her feet out from under, grab a kendo stick, and that's how Bayley retreated. But it was all very believable in their storyline. You know, if somebody beats you down like Bayley did to Sasha, you want to get your hand. You're not listening to doctors or your family members. You're not staying home. You don't care about being cleared or not. This isn't about a wrestling match. You want to get your hands on that person. She wanted to get her hands on Bayley, man. It's believable. So absolutely, I'm putting that into the good column because that was their planned spot. So I truly do believe that Nikki Cross and Bayley was supposed to be longer than 3 minutes. I believe it would have been a decent wrestling match at worst. Decent. And then I believe they wanted to plan something better with Sasha and Bayley. So, I have to at least commend the actual thought that went into it, and how they wanted to bring Sasha in there. Not too much thought, trust me. I'm not giving this company too much of the benefit of the doubt. But I love that. And it's not just because I'm a fan of Sasha and this is a pro-Sasha channel. I dig that. I would have gone about it a different way, no question. But I believe this, and I am fully on board with Sasha and Bayley's storyline. So I'm on board with this. So after 5 matches, because we just had a split bad and good there, the Asuka and Bayley bullshit is absolutely bad. Sasha and Bayley is absolutely good. It's actually, the story has been great. That was just good. You could have gone a little bit differently and made it even more epic if you're going to bring Sasha in, but at least good. So that crosses off, really. So at the end of 5 matches, we are now at 4 bad, once you cross that ugly out, and 3 good. Is that correct? Let me just make sure, guys. You guys have the tally here, man. That's post-edit, all right? I don't have that. The first 2, I believe, I put right into the good. The next 2 were rematches. I know I put 1 into the bad, 1 into the ugly, so that's 3-2. And then 5th match, got an immediate bad, which is 4-2. And then we put a good for Sasha and Bayley, so that's 4-3. That is correct. So now we go into the 6th match, and we have an ambulance match, man. We're already to the double main event. So it's 4-3. Currently, somehow, I know we had a lot of good stuff, I feel, or some good stuff. I mean, that ladder match set the tone really good. But here we are going into the 6th match, and I have it down 1. We're actually into the bad. But this was an ambulance match. 6th match on the main show. Drew McIntyre defending his championship, his WWE title against Randy Orton. I like this. This was less of a wrestling match and more of a fight, so you know I'm on board with that at times. They really utilized the ambulance correctly. Drew claymores the door off the hinges. Orton slams Drew back first through the windshield, and Drew was all bloodied afterwards, man, in several different spots. It looked worse than if he was to go into 1,000 thumbtacks. Right through the windshield, man. So I like how they utilized the ambulance. They even had some legends come back for revenge on Orton. Christian attacks Orton at catering. Shawn Michaels actually super kicks Sweet Chin Music on top of the ambulance and then shoves Orton off of it. And they even had Ric Flair, who I'll get to in a second. So they had some legends show up too. A bit overbooked, absolutely, but I love overbooking. You guys know that. That's why I love Cody. And a lot of what AEW does is because they overbook a lot of shit. Cody's matches, 99% of Cody's matches, always overbooked. And that's what I love about Cody and his matches. I just love when people overbook because to me, it shows that you care. It shows that you were actually getting creative or trying to anyway. So I love that. Sometimes overbooked matches don't come off right. This, I felt it was believable and it was the right thing to do, especially with what Drew said after the match. And I'll get to that in a second as well. So you have these legends. We had a nasty Claymore followed by a punt kick by McIntyre, which finished Orton off once and for all. That was it for Randy Orton. And Ric Flair was actually the one to drive Orton away in the ambulance. Ric Flair. And Flair says this, "I promise not to break the speed limit." Woo! And Flair drives off the ambulance. And Drew says, "This was not just for me. This was for a lot of people." So the message was awesome. It was like, this was for everybody that you put down. Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, Christian. I love this, guys. This is obviously going into the good column. I absolutely fucking loved it, guys. Honestly, it's one of those things, man. One of those fucking things that I just truly loved. It's the overbooking. It's the way the story came together. How they utilize the ambulance. It's not just called a gimmick match and the thing's just sitting there to the very end, or maybe a head gets slammed into it. It's like one of those little destructible toys, you know, those ambulance. There's a big ambulance. I saw this in like Target, guys. It's an ambulance and it comes apart and all that shit. You know, I just love that, man. And you know what, guys? This is probably a first in Good, the Bad, and the Ugly history. I'm not going to talk about this last match until I have a new fucking coffee. So we're going to do this last match maybe right back here in the sexy Lexi, in the Lexus. Maybe we'll review this match out there in the world. I don't know, but I have to get another coffee before I start talking about this Roman Reigns Jey Uso main event. So give me a second. We got to do a little bit of cut. The good news, BC got his coffee. The bad news, we're out in the world right now. We can't do a full camera setup. So this 7th and final match of the night on the main show will be in audio format only. It is for the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns champion taking on challenger and cousin Jey Uso. I can't help but talk and speak about this matchup with such passion and with goosebumps because it is a match, it is a character, it is a moment that the Amplified Man has been calling for years. And I take a lot of shit every time I say Roman needs to turn heel. I take a lot of shit, especially from diehard Roman fans, who say, just give it up, BC. This is what you're getting. He's never going to turn heel. You're never going to get any more. You're just not satisfied, BC. No, what I am is I'm not mediocre. I know that if Roman Reigns was to turn heel, none of this Shield heel bullshit either. A real bona fide heel with the volume turned up to 100, you would see the best version of Roman Reigns you have ever seen or even imagined in your lifetime. And when you see what you saw last night, man, everything that I have called for years, and all of the flack, and all of the shit that I have taken, because I would refuse to not give in. I refuse to not be mediocre and accept 50-50 middle ground tweener Roman. 50% may cheer for him, 50% may boo him, 40% cheer, 60 boo him, and so on. I was done with that man. I was done with the forced-fed nature that Vince McMahon was providing us through Roman Reigns. I was done. And I know there's more than 50% of the audience that was done with that type of bullshit. But we saw something in Roman. We weren't throwing shade at Roman. We just wanted him to turn full throttle heel mode. Because we knew we would be getting the best Roman, the company would be getting the best Roman, and Roman would be giving himself the best Roman. Everything that I have been bitching and moaning and complaining and ranting about for years. Last night was vindication for the Amplified Man. One of the only ones in this community to day in and day out demand that this dude turn heel for everybody involved because it is best for everybody involved. I was one of the very few in this community to raise my voice day in and day out and take all the bullshit that came with it. And it's vindication. Because after last night, we all can agree that that was the best fucking Roman. And trust me, this is a moment where I pat myself on the back, or where I ask everyone to kindly say, BC, you were right, man. You were definitely right, man. We should have listened all along. Most of you guys, the Amplified unit, you knew exactly what needed to be done anyway. But trust me when I say, this isn't a pat on my back moment. What we need now is more call for action. We need this to continue. What we saw last night, we need it to continue. Early in this match, I love the shit talking by Roman. Jay is regrouping on the outside and Roman is yelling, if you can't stay on the island, how you gonna own it? Roman says you're trying to level up. I live at this level. This was just great trash talk by Roman. For years, Roman Reigns on the mic has been absolutely abysmal and tragic. I can't stand Roman on the mic because his promo skills were non-existent. But Roman's trash talking now as a bona fide heel is some of the best trash talking I have seen in fucking years. Most of this match was Roman methodically punishing Jay, which in the process was forming the building blocks to this new Roman Reigns. Jay turns the heat up late, but Roman delivers a low blow and subsequent spear, but refuses to cover Jay unless Jay calls Roman the tribal chief. Jay refuses and receives a second spear for his defiance. Roman puts Jay's face to the camera and says, you see that camera? That's my camera, and this is my WWE. Now call me the tribal chief. Uso refuses yet again, and yet again gets pummeled for his defiance. Roman then berates the referee and says, if you ever try telling me what to do again, you'll be out of a job. Uso receives more of a beating until Jimmy Uso returns to the WWE. He hits the ring and he's about to throw in the towel, but the storytelling here is absolutely epic. Jey Uso is pretty much knocked out on his back. Here's Jimmy yelling in his ear, I'm calling it, Uso. I'm throwing this in, Uso. It's not worth it. And Jay, you can audibly hear saying, don't do it, Uso. Don't do it. But the beating is too severe and Jimmy Uso ends up throwing in the towel. Post-match, Jimmy declares Roman the tribal chief, and Paul Heyman takes the lei that Jey Uso came to the ring with during his entrance, and he places that lei around Roman's neck, signifying there is a new king of the island as we go off the air. Wow. I can't even... This is everything that I knew it would be, and why I review this with goosebumps. It's because I've been calling for this for years. I've been taking all the shit by calling it day in and day out, to the point where people are probably sick and tired of me calling for this turn. But I knew what it could be for all of us involved, especially Roman. I saw talent in Roman. I saw some of that it factor. But it had to be this way, man. And when you see it happen, to say it's a thing of beauty, to say it's epic, I mean, these are understatements. These words don't do it justice. I can't give this enough goods. I don't have a great column because WWE doesn't do enough great things to deserve a column. But just as if I would give an ugly, and that would count as 2 bads, a great would obviously count as 2 goods. So that's the best I can do in this situation. I am giving this match, and these performances, and this storytelling, I am giving this 2 goods. Because this would go into the great column if there was one. So this gets 2 goods. And this will end up now being a good pay-per-view. The top of the program with that ladder match, obviously. The end of the show, obviously. And a couple of good things squeaked by in the middle. The ambulance match, Asuka and Zelina, enough good, more good than bad anyway. And there was enough on this show to make it good. But I long for the day, don't get it twisted. I long for the day where we can have a dramatically good pay-per-view. I just long for the day where we can have maybe 7 in the good column and only 1 or 2 in the bad. I long for the day of more consistency with these pay-per-views because there's no reason we shouldn't be getting that type of consistency. A good start of the show, a good finish, and a lot of good shit during the show. I know it's a crazy concept, but there's no reason we don't get that time in and time out. But at least for this night, we squeaked by in the good. And this is the Roman Reigns that I have been bitching and moaning and ranting and craving for years. And I know deep down, man, a lot of you guys agree with the Amplified Man. This is what needed to happen for a long time now. We're not going to look in the past and say this should have happened, that should have been different. We got what we got now. It's better late than never. John Cena never turned heel. And the product, the company, we the fans, John Cena himself suffered because of it. Because Cena didn't want to get out of his own way. He wanted to be Super Cena. He wanted to be Mr. Make-A-Wish, and he put himself in front of the company. He was worried about how he was going to be perceived. He was worried about how people look at him. He wanted to be that guy who everybody can look up to and want to be like, and the superhero. The guy who has all the morals intact. In real life, we knew that wasn't the case. So why be something you're not? Especially when you can help bring up all of these individuals. You can help create the new faces for the future. But John Cena would not step out of the way. And he never did. Never did. And the business suffered because of it. Roman, we're hearing, went to Vince and said he wanted to turn heel. And again, if I find out that is 100% accurately true, I have so much more respect for Roman than I ever could imagined I could have had for him. But we're hearing Roman went to Vince and said, no, this needs to happen. And the way they went about business, fucking goosebumps, bro. Awesome storytelling, a great main event. More good than bad. And on paper, this looked pretty tragic. So I'm taking this, we're packing up, and we're going to hell in a cell. For us, we'll talk again tomorrow, guys, because they got a little show tonight called Monday Night Raw. They'll put that on the airwaves. They'll produce what they're going to produce. And we'll talk about it tomorrow for the Raw review and reaction. That was Clash of Champions. I'm the Amplified Man. You're the Amp Unit. We're the best in the community. And we'll rock it out again tomorrow. For now, check you later.